Continuing now with the man who made headlines with the notorious Hunter Biden laptop when Hunter Biden walked into his Mac store in Delaware and handed off a laptop that needed repairs for liquid damage. John Paul Mac Isaac suddenly became a part of American history in his own way. He's got a book out today about an American injustice, My Battle to Expose the Truth. And John Paul, thank you for continuing. And by the way, those of you who are streaming us on demand and watching this, go back and watch part one of the interview first, if you could. And now we'll continue with part two of our interview. So there it was, August. You handed this off to Rudy Giuliani's people. And at this point, were you well, let me go back to the first FBI encounters, and when the FBI was questioning you about this and asking you questions, did anybody ask you if you had gotten this from the Russians, or if you had had any connection to Russia or Russian propaganda? Was there even any suggestion or any questions from a responsible federal investigator at the FBI that in some way you obtained this in a nefarious way?
No, the first I heard anything about Russia was on October 14th when my actions were labeled Russian disinformation. I never heard any whisper of Russia up until then.
So when you reached out to Giuliani's office, who had been working as a legal advisor to President Trump, of course, over those years, did they tell you that you were not going to be able to remain anonymous? Did they sort of give you a heads up that your life was about to change?
Initially, because my point of contact was Bob Costello, and I told him right out of the gate that I was doing everything tooth and nail to keep my identity a secret. I would lose my business. I would probably be chased out of town with pitchforks if word got out. And so he actually worked very hard. I believe until the Post ran the story on October 14th, Rudy Giuliani didn't even know who I was. I was just referred to as Bob's guy. And that's how important it was for me to keep my identity. I didn't even want the people that I was helping to know who I was. And unfortunately, that anonymity didn't last very long for me.
It didn't. And so the New York Post runs with the story and it suddenly explodes everywhere, although it doesn't, because the media decides to censor it, to not allow the story to even be pushed out on social media. And it is immediately labeled as Russian disinformation. And that's where they actually implicate you personally. How did that roll out?
Well, I was just taken aback at how quickly things happened. I witnessed the New York Post publishing the story at about 6:30 in the morning. By 9 o'clock, it was blocked on Twitter. Accounts were being suspended. Traffic was being reduced on Google and YouTube. It was this collusion to squash the story. And I thought to myself, I was like, they were ready for this. And that's when I realized that this was a hell of a lot bigger than me and what I had seen on a laptop. This was a collusion between our mainstream and social media working under the instructions of our FBI to block a story that had real consequences. And I realized at that point in that morning, I think my buddy texted me in the morning. He's like, dude, you broke the internet. I realized that this was so much bigger than me and that this was the important story. This wasn't about just a crackhead with a gun and a laptop. This was a collusion between our alphabet agencies and our trusted mainstream and social media.
I almost feel like it's the cliched red pill moment in the Matrix, or maybe those magic eye pictures that we all got obsessed with in the 90s, where you couldn't see a picture, but if you looked at it a certain way, suddenly that's all you could see. I mean, is that sort of your feeling? It's like suddenly you're sort of seeing the Matrix here and the connections between the government and the media, but it's all targeted at you.
It was targeted at me, and I don't think it was intentionally. I just think I was a casualty. They had a narrative. They knew the narrative that they wanted to push. The FBI was very clear when they instructed Facebook to be on the lookout for a large dump of foreign intelligence, so that these companies knew what to look for. And when it happened, they were ready. And it can't happen again. And that's why I wrote the book. I wrote the book to document this, to show in a chronological order what I went through, what I had to deal with, and then the repercussions and the fallout from that. And I think it's important to read, and I think it's moving forward, especially with Republicans in the House. I'm hoping to see accountability.
Did any media outlets or individuals that work for media outlets or individuals who used to work in government, did they flat out accuse you of espionage, accuse you of being affiliated with a foreign hostile government like Russia? Do you have any potential lawsuits or actions, legal actions you could take against these organizations? Or was it all done in sort of this thinly veiled innuendo where you can't really sue them?
Well, there were those 51, and I say the term intelligent loosely, experts that they all penned a letter, but they were very clever in their wording when they said that this has the appearance of. So they never flat out called me. Now, of course, Politico ran that letter and then quite happily called this Russian disinformation. So I'm very happy that I'm involved with the America Project, and their legal team and my legal team are actively suing for defamation. The CNN, Adam Schiff, Politico, Hunter Biden, and the campaign to elect Joe Biden. And the defamation is based on the Russian disinformation narrative, and the proliferation of that narrative. Because the entire nation saw Joe Biden go before the American people during a debate and say that this was all Russian disinformation. We want to find out who gave the marching orders, who started that narrative. I think we're getting a lot of headway with the whistleblowers coming from to Grassley and Johnson's office. I'm hoping that my lawsuit gets to discovery, and we can find out who wrote this down, who wrote the letter, who penned the letter that 51 intelligence experts were willing to sacrifice their credibility to march behind. I want to get to the bottom of it so we can figure it out and so it doesn't happen again.
By the way, later on this evening's program, we're going to speak with Tony Schaefer, a retired colonel from the Army who worked in military intelligence and is very well sourced in the intelligence community, and we're going to ask him just that, so stay tuned for that interview. John Paul, at this point, when was the last time you heard from the FBI? Because we've been told that there is an active FBI investigation out of the U.S. Attorney's Office in Delaware, that this has been ongoing. They're looking at drug issues. They're looking at tax issues. You turned over a key piece of evidence. So how often have you been interviewed by the FBI since that day you handed it off to them?
So the last I heard from the FBI was about mid-December, about a little past a week from when Agent Mike collected the laptop and then delivered me that thinly veiled threat.
Wait, that was 2019?
2019.
So we're coming up on 2 years now since you've actually talked to the FBI?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
That seems improbable if it's really an active, aggressive investigation, considering you were the one who handed over this evidence.
Yeah, I don't think they want to talk to me. I've reached out to them in multiple news outlets. I've said I'm still sitting on my father's copy of the drive that he tried to give the FBI. This predates Rudy Giuliani's copy by 11 months. If there's any worry about a tampering with the drive or somebody trying to insert data in the 2 years that these drives have been circulating, I have a drive that predates that by another year. So if the FBI wants to revisit this, they know where I live. They've been to my home before. I'm willing to cooperate. I just want this to be over. I want there to be accountability. I want the FBI to get their integrity back, and I want justice. Yeah,
I think we would all like that, but it's going to take quite a bit of examination of the behavior, certainly in this case and in other cases. And an individual American citizen shouldn't have their life turned upside down. It's remarkable to me that you mentioned the impeachment of President Trump. The whistleblower who worked in the government, I believe in the CIA, that actually blew the whistle on Donald Trump on that phone call, and revealed that information to Adam Schiff's office. He is still anonymous. He is still protected by whistleblower laws. But your life, they tried to destroy you, John Paul, but you're still standing. By the way, you said that you could lose your business. Did you lose your business? Is the Mac shop still operational?
No. After the Post ran the story, my business survived about 3 weeks. I started getting a lot of death threats. A lot of seedy characters were coming into the shop. Luckily, the Wilmington Police Department really stepped up, and they put a squad car in front of my shop the entire time I was there. Yeah. I can't begin to thank them enough. But it finally got to the point where the threat was too high, and I closed and left the state around early November.
You should sell those shirts, though, with the Mac Shop logo. I'd buy one of those shirts just to sort of send a message. And anyone who understands it and gets it will get it. John Paul Mac Isaac, the book is American Injustice, My Battle to Expose the Truth. And the truth will out, sir. You know that. Thank you so much for everything you've done, and thanks for joining us tonight. More to come on O'Connor Tonight.